Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Lauren Muzyka Show, your favorite update in the battle for life, family, and freedom. Thank you again so much for hanging out with me today. I'm Lauren Muzyka, attorney and human rights advocate, and I serve as president and CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, the nation's largest peaceful sidewalk outreach organization. One of the newest and best strategies in saving lives at abortion facilities in the modern era is the use of a mobile ultrasound unit, a van equipped to provide free pregnancy tests, free sonograms, and free life-affirming holistic options counseling right in front of the abortion facility. And I can tell you firsthand, in my over 20 years on the sidewalk, I have seen that in the midst of a life and death decision, this can be an absolute game changer. But understandably so, many of you have questions like, okay, when the rubber meets the road, no pun intended, how does this actually work, right? Who should get one? Does it really save more lives than maybe the bricks and mortar pregnancy center down the street? And if I discern that I need one, what are the steps that I need to take to getting one? These are all great questions. We're going to unpack all of this today with a friend, with an expert, a leader in the industry, Eddie Perez of Vans for Life. So let me go ahead and properly introduce our special guest. So Eddie Perez is the president and CEO of two pro-life nonprofit organizations. One is a local pregnancy crisis center in San Antonio, Texas, great state of Texas, there it is. And the other is a national ministry called Vans for Life, which was launched in 2022. Vans for Life was created to place mobile pregnancy center vans in front of abortion facilities across the country. And since then, they have placed mobile pregnancy center units in Florida, Ohio, Indiana, Texas, and recently the Dominican Republic. These vans are the perfect tool to walk pregnant women from the abortion facility to the mobile unit where they can get real life-affirming counseling, ultrasounds, and material assistance. This model, the use of these mobile units, it's so powerful, so successful that about 90% of all abortion-minded pregnant women who board one of these units end up choosing life for their preborn child. Unbelievable. The goal for Vans for Life is to ultimately place a mobile pregnancy van in front of every abortion facility in our great nation. Let's go ahead and welcome to the program for this robust discussion, Eddie Perez of Vans for Life. Eddie, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. All
Good.
right.
Hey, you like my shirt?
Make unborn babies great again. Used to be a slogan we used. That's so fun.
This is your shirt. This is your
There you
shirt.
go. It is
Yeah,
our shirt.
I
That's
love
right.
it. Yeah.
We've gone a different
Yep.
direction now. Now our banners say love is ending abortion. Still a
There
beautiful
you go.
message. But hey, in the new
Yep.
administration, there's good work going on, and rightly so. You're wearing that t-shirt. Good stuff.
Yep. There you
All
go.
right. Well, let's go ahead and back it up for just a second. How did you get
Okay.
into the pregnancy help movement? You're a business guy, and
Yeah.
explain how you made the leap from a bricks and mortar pregnancy center to saying, you know what, we need a mobile unit in saving lives.
Yeah. Well, my mother was a pregnancy crisis counselor for about 30 years. So,
Wow.
I really got involved with her, and then my wife joined the movement about 20 years ago, and then I joined it 10 years ago. So I'm kind of slow to the game here. So I got involved in our local pregnancy center here, ended up making changes, immediately saw that being in front of the abortion facility is the key. Not being 3, 4, 5 miles away, you got to be right there where the customers are.
Yeah.
And so when we did that strategy, we had a 1,400% increase in the women we saw. So it was
Mm.
immediate. But then I saw a need that, if the abortion facility moved and we were in a brick and mortar, then what do we do? So we got a mobile pregnancy center van, and started using that to park in front of the other abortion facilities that are in San Antonio. And we, within a year and a half, saved about 800 and 900 babies.
Wow.
We were able to close the abortion facility because we took away their revenue. So I thought, okay, well, let's scale this thing, right? So why
Mm.
can't it work in other cities? So that's where the idea of Vans for Life was born. So
So you
yeah,
said 800 lives again in what period of time?
about a year and a half.
I mean,
About
that's
a year and a half.
unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
saw a difference in actually parking that mobile unit out in front of the abortion facility. Tell us more about that, like the contrast
Yeah.
there, like why that made such a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. Well, it didn't make any difference at all the first 2 weeks because we didn't have anybody on the sidewalk.
Sidewalk
So
support.
we just thought that having the van there, the girls would go, "Oh wow, look at this van." No, because they have laser focus, they're already stressed and incredibly, um, they're not really sure what they want to do. They're confused, and they're not looking up and looking around, even if it's 25 feet in front of them. So
Mm,
when we employed Sidewalk Advocates, who kind of just said, "Hi, how are you?" Just kind of got their attention and said, "Hey, free pregnancy tests, free ultrasounds. I can get you on board to see a nurse right now." It was easy at that point.
yeah,
So the partnering of Sidewalk Advocates it's mandatory. It doesn't just help. It's mandatory if we want to get girls on the van. So with
yeah.
that partnership, that's how we got all the success that we had.
Well, and I can speak to the other end of that too. Like as a sidewalk
Yeah.
advocate, having a mobile unit on site is a game changer for us, right? Because
Right.
maybe if the
Hmm.
pregnancy center is 2 miles down the road or 30 miles down the road, like it's a tougher sell. But if I've got something
Right.
right there in front of her, I'm proving what I'm saying, right?
Right.
So
Hmm.
to kind of summarize all of this, we have seen, you and I have seen, our colleagues have seen in the movement that when services for a pregnant woman are free, immediate, and visible, right?
Hmm.
She doesn't need to pay
Hmm.
anything. She can get on the mobile unit almost right away, and then she can see it. It legitimizes what we're saying. It's a game changer
Right.
for a woman considering
Right.
abortion, right? So talk
Yeah,
to us about
it's basically, the woman already, from our experience, in her mind, consciously or subconsciously, is thinking, just give me a reason not to have an abortion. If
that.
you could
Yeah.
just do that, I'll choose life. But nobody's given her a reason. Everything's
Mm,
against her. The father of the baby is against her. The parents are against her. She has no, hope that she can do this. And as soon as you show her just a little bit of light, then she'll run to it if you give her that opportunity to do
mm.
so.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've almost noticed that proximity has been the difference between life and death, right? I mean,
Yeah.
especially when those
Hmm.
appointments loom. She's like, "Oh man, I got an
Yeah.
appointment in 20 minutes." If she's got to drive way down the road, that's hard. But if I can get her on the
Right.
mobile ultrasound unit right away, such that she's even got that window of time to kind of make a decision whether she's going to follow through with that appointment. I mean, that's a big difference, right?
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. You could even tell her, hey, look, you're going to go in there and you're going to wait an hour and a half.
Right.
Why don't you go in the van and see what's available? I can get you on right now.
Right, right.
So
And we've
yeah.
seen that location is everything. I mean, I was looking
Yeah.
at Planned Parenthood's latest annual report. And so, again,
Hmm.
Planned Parenthood being the largest abortion provider empire in the United
Yeah.
States, 97.1% of all pregnant women who darken the doors of a Planned Parenthood get an abortion. But if
Hmm.
we can just get her on a mobile ultrasound unit or into a pregnancy center, that
Hmm.
statistic almost flips. We're talking about 90%.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
absolutely unbelievable. Location matters and what pitch she's hearing.
Yeah.
We're going to give her the truth. We're going to give her holistic options counseling, but Planned Parenthood is
Right.
going to give her an abortion sales pitch. They don't help with
Right.
parenting. They don't help with adoption. So, oof, that's
Yep.
really something to think about.
Absolutely.
Now, Eddie, who in your mind best qualifies for a mobile unit? Like which ministries, individuals should be considering one of these? And then what do people need to have in place to be able to receive one of these and to use it well?
So I was going to explain that a different way, but I just thought of something. Kind of like the girl who just needs a little bit of hope,
Mm,
right? And we provide it, and we'll walk them through the whole process, through the pregnancy and afterwards, right? We'll walk with her and show her the way. We just got to provide that little bit of spark to
yeah.
get a van. That's what we need. We need you to have just a little bit of spark and to make the
Mm,
phone call.
good way
Just
to put
send me
it.
an email. Talk to me, and we go from there.
Mhm.
If you're pro life and you're passionate, don't let Satan come in and provide all these obstacles that aren't there to you
Oh,
getting a van.
yeah.
Talk to me first. And, if I can have a minute, I'll share with you a story at the march last week. That was
Yeah.
a God moment. But I had a buddy who, about 3 years ago, he came to one of our events and he introduced Abby Johnson because he did a video about going to see Unplanned, and it was an awesome, awesome video. And he did it, and it was about 3 years ago. About a year ago, I had him come back for an event, and I did not know this about him, but he has an abortion story. He paid for an
Hmm.
abortion. So he
Wow.
shared that story and at our event, and it was very, very moving.
Mm.
And so he was with us at the march this
Mm.
year, and he shared the story. And I told him, he said, "Man, one of the things I've done is I have young people come into my home, and I talk to them about the truth. I talk to them. We break bread, and then we watch Unplanned. And then after the movie, they're turned around." And I said to him, "Okay, look, I don't know when it's going to happen, but your next level of being in the pro-life movement is you're going to get a van in Buffalo, and you're going to operate it, and you're going to end up quitting your job as a police officer, and this is what you're going to do full time." And he just looked. You can imagine the look he gave me, right? And he was there with his wife. And I said, "I don't know when this is going to happen, but it's going to happen."
Mhm.
So this was the night before our event that we had with Abby Johnson. So I'm in a meeting with Abby right before the event. She goes, "Oh, before I forget, there's a lady who wants to get a van. She doesn't really know. She's kind of the pro-life speaker in her city. She wants to get a van, but she needs help with that. She doesn't know exactly what that's going to look like. And she probably can come close to getting the funding for it."
Hmm.
And I said, "Okay, what city?" And she goes, "Oh, it's in Buffalo." And I went, "Yeah, of all the cities, you know how many cities there are in the country? Of all the cities, Buffalo." So I
Wow.
tell my buddy this, and he's there with his wife, and he goes, "That's all I needed." And so now I'm helping him to start a nonprofit so that he can get a van and operate the van. And going, he's all in, he's ready to go. So I say this story to tell you who's qualified to get a van, whoever's ready to get it. I
Yeah.
can help with everything else.
Right.
So I've had so many people reach out to me and go, "We don't have the money for it." Okay, what if I help you get the money? We don't have a nonprofit. Okay, what if I help you start one? There's, there's a board member who has a lot of questions, and okay, what if I talk to the board member? It's no different than what we do with girls, right? When they come onto the van. "Well, I can't have this baby because I don't have a job. What if we help you get a job?" "I can't pay my rent this month. There's no way I could have a baby." "What if we pay your rent?" So it's the same thing. So that's a long answer to your question, but that's the answer. Anyone
Yeah.
who's willing to have a van. So
That's so good. I was just thinking about a discussion that I had earlier this season with Joe Evermore, and we were talking about, I mean, really getting rid of obstacles, dreaming big, letting God
right.
move. Um, and I do believe that this is a crisis in our kingdom, is so many times we see obstacle, 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 right? Instead of seeing
Yeah. Yeah.
possibilities, opportunities, the ability to learn from our mistakes and our failures and all of that, right? And taking
Yeah.
that to kind of push it towards that God-sized vision that he's given us. And so, one of the things we brought up on the show is like earlier with Joe is like, hey, if you've got this on your heart, God will make a way. It doesn't mean that you don't need to march it out. It doesn't mean you don't
Right.
need to get an expert by your side, like, Eddie at Vans for
Hmm.
Life, right? But
Hmm.
God can and will provide for you if you believe you're supposed to be the person to bring this to your community, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I had a call yesterday with a lady who called me and said, "Hey, I'm calling on behalf of the pregnancy center in our town. I
Mm.
run the Gabriel Project. But it's just me and I do it part time. But I'm calling on behalf of this pregnancy center, and I think they would be a great potential to have this van." And I said, "So how come they're not calling me? Why are
Hmm.
you calling me?" And she said, "Well, I can't possibly run the van." And I said, "Tell me about that." By the end of the conversation, she's like, "Okay, I'm going to get the van. I'm going to operate the van. I'm going to do," and she's all ready. She's 100% ready to go. And I told her, "This is how you can raise the money. This is how you can operate the van. This is how you," so she was fully capable, but she just didn't go into the conversation thinking that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Quite
You
often
just
the
have
one
to have it on your heart.
this is the one who's supposed to do it, right? So
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. No, I mean, in just like sidewalk advocacy, when we have a group come to us and they want to bring Sidewalk Advocates for Life to their community, sometimes it's a couple of friends who got together and said, "We need to do this." Right?
Right.
Sometimes
Hmm.
it's a right to life group. Sometimes it's a church. It's a 40 Days
Hmm.
for Life campaign that wants to use that beautiful prayer presence as the foundation, and they want the PhD to learn how to reach out with their words. Right? So we see
Hmm.
people from all walks of life, all different denominations, all different backgrounds come to us and say, I want to save lives. And I've been told that this is the place to come to for sidewalk outreach instruction. Help us get this off the ground. Right?
Yeah. I had someone who has a van now. They initially had come to me and said, "We want a van." I said, "Okay, so tell me about your situation." They're like, "Well, we don't have any money." Okay. So fast forward, they have a van now. I did a fundraiser for them and we raised like $500,000. And they're like, the most they had ever raised was 60,000. And so now they have
Wow.
a van and so it's like they never ever would have imagined that when they first gave me a call, but they had to
Yeah.
give me the call. They had to call me. We had to
Yeah.
start the conversation. And then once, we have that conversation, we can go from there and figure out a way. There's always going to be a way. Um,
Yeah.
you just
That's
have
so good.
to initiate it. So
Right, right. And I
yeah,
love that you also are willing to dream big and encourage other people to dream big, to quit seeing
yeah,
obstacles and instead seeing those opportunities,
right,
Because that's where
right.
it starts. It starts right in our thoughts. And if we don't get control of those, then it's going to lead us down a different path. Right.
Yeah, and it's Satan for sure. I mean, what
Oh,
does he want? The last thing he wants is anybody preventing him from killing babies.
yeah.
And so he'll do whatever it takes to make that happen. You just have to be aware of it. Like my
Yeah.
buddy in Buffalo, he was telling me, "Okay, how do I start the nonprofit? Who's going to do the accounting? How do we raise?" He's doing all that. I said, "Look, don't worry about that. I'm going to help you with that. This is what you and your wife need to focus on.
Mm,
Figure out from a spiritual perspective how you're going to stop and prevent Satan from stopping you from doing this ministry or starting it because he's
yeah.
coming for you. He's coming for you now. And so
Yeah.
you just have to do the rosary and you have to do things to protect yourself spiritually. I'll help with
Mm,
the other parts. We'll take care of
mhm.
that.
Yeah.
What we need to stop you from is from calling me and going, "Hey, Eddie, my wife just lost her job. We got to put this thing on hold." No, that's Satan. You know, you can
Yeah.
do it if you really want to do it. And so, we have to look at it from that perspective.
You gotta stay prayed up, You gotta
Yep.
make sure that your mind is that's the first battleground right there, is seeing the
Yes.
possibility of this coming to fruition, having that God-sized vision to believe it's possible, absolutely. And
Right.
you're there to help people walk it out with the
Right.
logistics, right? The magic's in the
Absolutely.
mundane quite often. So,
Yeah,
um,
and there's resources. There's people out there. So if
yeah,
someone says, "Hey, I want to get a van, but I don't have anybody on the sidewalk." Oh, wow, I have an organization that probably can help you with that, right?
yeah,
Sidewalk Advocates for Life, and so that and people who need help with fundraising. Oh, I have a resources for that. For that.
mm,
Hey, we can't get a speaker for our event. Really? I probably can help you with that. So
mm.
I have a lot of people that I can reach out to who can help us with things maybe that I can help with.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So good. Let
yeah.
me ask you more about like the relationship between sidewalk advocacy and the mobile unit. A lot of people do
Hmm.
think that when they get a van, it's like, if I build it, they will come, right? Just
Right.
park this van
Hmm.
out there. And like you said in San Antonio, when you first brought the mobile unit out in front of, I believe it was the South San Antonio facility, like you had
Right.
nobody boarding the van. But then when you added just very simple sidewalk support, and you didn't even
Hmm.
have a lot of people doing this at times. My understanding is you
Hmm.
had an evangelical pastor and a Catholic dude out there that even had a little bit of a competition, right? I remember them saying, I'm going to get more girls on the van today. No, I'm going to get more women on the van today,
That's
right?
it.
And
That's it.
it was just a couple people. It was just a couple
Yep.
people, but you needed somebody to sell the van to the women, because who's going
Right.
to wander onto a strange van? Tell us more
Right.
about that, like how simple it was once you had just a couple people pointing people to the van. What did you say? Why was it so magical?
Well, first, you cannot have a converted ambulance or a converted bus or a trailer hitched to, a truck. You can't
Mm,
have that. It has to look very professional. So our
yeah.
vans are brand new vans. They're wrapped very professional. And you can have anybody on the van, in the state of Texas. You don't have to be a nurse to do a limited ultrasound, but we expect for you to have a nurse on the van because um, that lends to the credibility. Uh,
Absolutely.
and then in addition to that, we've had situations where there was one girl who came on the van and said, I just need to get the ultrasound so I can take it to the abortion facility because I can't have this baby. And the nurse said, why? And she goes, because I have diabetes. And the nurse said, what does that have to do with the pregnancy? And she said, well, the abortion facility told me if I have diabetes, I can't have the baby. And so
Gracious.
being a nurse, she could go through that medical information to go, oh my God, that's absolutely false. And
Mm.
so again, the credibility, them being in their scrubs, and having the experience of being a nurse is that lends to the credibility. So when you have this person on the sidewalk, they're aware of all of that. So their confidence in talking to the girl and saying, hey, we can get you an ultrasound, we can get you the pregnancy test, and we have a nurse on board right now, that gives her the comfort. Then she sees that the unit is professional. So brand new unit, wrapped beautifully. So credibility is a big thing in getting the girls onto the van, and then keeping the conversation simple. Our
Mhm.
nurses are trained counselors, so we ask the people on the sidewalk, look, I understand you're probably used to doing counseling because there's not a pregnancy center around you. So you're the counselor. You're it. You're the one who has to convince the girl that you can help her with having her baby. But when you have the van, just getting them on the van and then the nurse does all the medical stuff, but also is doing the counseling as well. So
Mm.
we just encourage the people on the sidewalk. For me, the conversation is 10 seconds or less. Hey, we offer free pregnancy tests, free ultrasounds. I have a nurse on board who can see you right now. Would you like me to walk you over?
There you
It's
go.
the end of the conversation,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. Eddie, talk to the person who is thinking about this. How can they get
Mhm.
with you to bring a van to their community? And, is it helpful to have certain ducks in a row before they call you or right after they call you? Like, what's your best advice to someone who's considering this?
Really just going to the website, vansforlife.org. My cell phone number and my email address is there. But as far as having ducks in a row, if the decision maker is going to be the board of directors,
Yeah.
let's just start with a conference call with the board of directors.
Mm.
It's not very efficient for me to have a hour conversation with someone and then they go to the board and kind of regurgitate what I said. Unfortunately, they might say some things that are not correct. They may say it in the wrong way, and right then and there, the whole idea of getting a van is eliminated right there because of the miscommunication. So, I would tell you
Mm.
if it's a situation where the board has to make is the final decision maker, well, let's get them on the phone so that I can answer any questions that they may have. Um, there is also, the question of once they get the van, what happens? Um,
Mm.
Once they get the van, we're available to help them with anything they need, but there is no contract. They don't have to submit anything to us. They don't have to go through red tape. They basically, it's not that much different than going to a car dealer and buying a car, except there's
Yeah.
no haggling and stuff. It's just paperwork. We're not sitting there saying, okay, once a month you have to submit this. Okay, we have to approve your board. We have to look at your articles of incorporation. It's none of that. So
Mhm.
we try to make it as easy as possible.
Okay. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So vansforlife.org, right?
Uh huh. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's great.
Vansforlife.org.
This has been such a cool discussion. I'm telling you, I have been out on the sidewalk for more than 20 years, and
Mm-hmm.
I breathe a sigh of relief as a sidewalk advocate when I see a mobile unit there on site
Right.
because I know it's going to be so much easier to get her to turn around. She has looked at Planned Parenthood as her savior in her
Mm-hmm.
crisis situation. And just like I said in an earlier show this season, it's not effective to go at somebody and say, don't have an abortion. And that
Right.
psychology of influence, commitment, and consistency, I might not be able to thwart her initial commitment to Planned Parenthood, but what I can do is get her to make a new commitment. And when I've
Right.
got a shiny van that's professional, that has professional services aboard, that in its branding and its colors and everything about it, it says, I am for you. It's marketed to her. All of a sudden,
Right.
I have a chance to get her to make a new commitment or at least consider that, right? It
Right.
really is
Right.
a game changer. So,
Yeah, exactly. So, and also, the thing about, I talked about resources, not only Sidewalk Advocates for Life, but there's other people who are actually, they own a van. Mark Cavalier in El Paso is a great example. He has a van, he has a sidewalk ministry, he does it all, and he's very successful. And so there's resources out there to make it even more effective in getting
yeah.
the girls on the van. Also, the one other obstacle I was wanting to talk to you about was that we do have people who say to me, hey, we want to get a van and we want to partner with our local pregnancy center.
Mm.
And that scares me a little bit
Hmm.
in the fact that sometimes they'll have thoughts of getting a van and they call their local pregnancy center and say, we want to get a van. Do you want to partner with us? And the local pregnancy center, for whatever reason, will say, no, 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 we don't think that's a good idea. We don't want to really do it. And to me, why are you asking them for permission? If
Mm.
you have a girl on the van and you're getting her off the ledge, the van is kind of the emergency room. If you
Yeah.
took that girl to a pregnancy center, walked in the door and said, hey, this is Michelle. We just talked to her. She was considering abortion, but she's decided to choose life, but she needs help with like resources and material assistance. Can you help with that? There's probably not a pregnancy center in the country who's going to say, oh, no, no, no. She came from the van. No, we're not going to help her. That's not
Mm.
it. So you don't need the local pregnancy centers or the local pro-life movement to approve you getting the van. Get the van and then they'll be on board.
Yeah.
So don't let that become an obstacle as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. If you're ready to move, let God
do it.
steer you forward there and then get everybody on board with the mission that he's given you. That's
Right,
beautiful.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, this has been great, Eddie. Thank you again so much for all that you're
Yes.
doing, both in your local community and across the nation. It's been really exciting to watch. And again, if any of you are listening and you've got a tug on your heart to get one of these powerful tools out in front of your local abortion facility, whether you're Joe Schmo and you've never done this before, all the way up to you got a robust sidewalk presence, you're a pregnancy center, you got it all
Right.
going on, and this is just the missing piece, please let Eddie know. And we're going to be cheering you on here at Sidewalk Advocates for Life. And if we can help you with
Awesome.
sidewalk training, right? I mean, if you got a mobile unit,
Absolutely.
you need that sidewalk support, we can get your people trained and getting people on the mobile unit so that it doesn't just sit there as well, too. So it really is an
Right.
important
Right.
relationship. But all right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank
All
you,
right. Well,
Eddie.
thank
Thank
you
you
so
for being
much.
with
Yes,
us.
I really appreciate being here. So thank
Awesome.
you.
Talk to you
All right.
soon.
We'll talk later. Okay. Bye.
All right. Well, closing thought here: free, immediate, and visible. These are the qualities that tend to be game changers in the battle for life on the sidewalk and beyond. If she can see it, if it's readily available, and she doesn't need to jump through a lot of hoops to get services, then it can truly mean a decision for life. This is also something that we as sidewalk advocates, we in the greater pro-life movement, we're trying to share with pregnancy resource centers that if they can strategically, if they have the ability to strategically locate their centers near the abortion facility, and they make it easy for women to come to them to get resources, they will save a ton of lives. In fact, the pregnancy centers that I have seen that have saved the most lives are those who treat the abortion minded woman walking through their door, especially one that just came from Planned Parenthood. They treat it as an emergency. They remain calm, yes, but they service her as soon as possible, knowing that she's got a world of pressure around her and she could turn around at any given moment and go right back to the abortion facility. So I just want to encourage us to be on our game, to treat this battle seriously. Location is everything. Free help is attractive. And the immediacy of our services is the difference often between life and death. So let's get ourselves ready and set up to receive her, to serve her as soon as possible. And truly, our professionalism and timeliness will be two of the things that very well will defeat the abortion sales pitch. So again, I just encourage you, do what you need to do to compete well with them for the sake of lives and souls. And if you need a van, go contact Eddie for more information. All right. With that, thank you again so much for joining me for another episode of the Lauren Muzyka Show. We're going to be back here next Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central on the Sidewalk Advocates for Life Facebook page, YouTube channel, or wherever you get podcasts. Thanks so much, everybody.